It's time for Dads Making a Difference, powered by First Things First. This transformative show will help you learn how to handle the stress of fatherhood, how to better relate to your child, navigate the child support system, and all things that come with being a dad. With your hosts, Reggie Madison and James Frankie Woods.
We were young. You didn't really, you might see a few kids that might have some emotional breakdowns, but it wasn't nearly as widespread as it is today. And I'm convinced that though there's a social, emotional learning and different things that schools are doing and people are doing, et cetera, but when dad is around, then that has the potential to bring emotional stability better than anything. Right. And that's why I got Joe Banks here today.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm about to learn today.
That's why he's here. So, Joe, tell a little bit about who you are, your role in the community, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. All right. I'm Joe Banks. I am the head football coach and dean of students at Chattanooga Preparatory School. I'm also a graduate of Howard High School. I tell people all the time I'm a graduate of Alton Park Middle School and East Lake Elementary. So I'm a real Chattanooga guy. Background-wise, I have a bachelor's in mass communication and a minor in psychology. For 5 or 6 years, I was a de-escalation specialist in Chicago. And then when I left Chicago, I moved to Chattanooga and was the behavior specialist at Howard High School before I came to dean of students at Chattanooga Preparatory School.
Cool. So for people here, de-escalation specialist, what in the world does that mean? Okay,
so my job is to come to an environment that is out of control and get that environment back in control, typically by establishing some type of bond or relationship or rapport with who is upset so that we can get some type of understanding, so therefore violence don't have to occur because of this.
So what I hear you saying is that when the emotions and the tempers have been lost,
most definitely,
that's when you step in and help figure out a way to simmer it down, bring the emotions back in check, and actually have some order and make some progress.
Right, most definitely.
Wow. Okay. So how long have you been in this world, in this field?
It's going on 12 years now.
Oh, okay. So you've seen some change. You've seen tell us a little about what it was like 12 years ago versus now.
Well, when I started, like I said, I was in Chicago, and that environment is a little bit different than Chattanooga because the amount of kids that you will be working with. A lot of kids in Chicago are what you would consider ward of the state, where their family have lost custody of them. And so you have kids, man, like from the ages of 10 to 17, carrying guns, party gangs, committing severe crimes that a lot of times it's hard to come back from. And so my job was kind of establish relationships with them, explaining to them how society works, explaining to them how everything you have been taught in your environment hasn't been best for you, for society. It's been good for that environment. And so the kids have to understand that a lot of times the people that's raising you only can teach you so much because some of them have only explored so much. So a lot of times I talk to my kids about teachers. Teachers are some of the best resources of giving expanding your network so that you can, as a young man, become whatever you want to become. And so that's the biggest piece to it, is like establishing kids with networks, connections that they can lean on.
So what made you want to do? What made you want to jump off into this field that you in?
Well, honestly, I'm gonna tell you this: growing up, how I grew up, a lot of this was normal behavior, and not until I got to college and started to do training once I got in Chicago to understand how abnormal these behaviors was. So I remember, I give a case in point, an example. Growing up in Chattanooga, if you went to a party and you didn't see a fight, probably wasn't a good party.
Right.
You're right. So it probably wasn't a good party. Well, as I got older, I realized that's super unhealthy. Yeah. Going to a party, you should be able to go to a party and come back home safe, having fun while you're there. No one have to look over their shoulder to see what's going on. But for me, growing up where we grew up, I just felt like, hey, man, I don't want to go to no party. Ain't nothing going to happen. And so as I got older, I'm like, yo, you got a kid. You got things you want to do with your life. So you have to change your perspective towards life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's so. Help me understand a little bit from. You see, I'm trying to just walk through situations. What do you see for kids? Like, why do you feel like they get so upset? Why do you feel like the tempers are what they are? Why do you feel like you see all these kids that respond with just straight aggression?
Lack of balance. You need the feminine and the masculine. A lot of kids don't have that balance to be able to control their emotions. And so if I'm raised in an environment where everything is verbal aggression, I respond verbally aggressively. Now, if I deal with a man who's trying to approach me logically, a lot of times that can scare a kid off, especially a young man who's been raised in a super feminine environment. So, again, understanding the kids you're dealing with is super important. Establishing those rapports so you can have an understanding, okay, some kids I can push a little harder. Some kids I can't. Some kids I have to gradually build this relationship up so I can push them. Some kids, hey, he's ready to go. So just understand that everybody's different. And my job is to kind of be patient, figure them out, and see what I can help them out in the best way possible.
So because I'm sure you, for many, is the strongest male figure that they may see, that they have seen, especially as a coach. What have you noticed the impact that you've been able to have on just that emotional kind of regulation, that emotional, stability or emotional peace in a young man?
I've been able to establish the power of communicating so that we can sit down. We can disagree, but let's sit down. Let's put on the table why we disagree. And typically, it's a miscommunication when you go with boys, because we can have disagreements, and a lot of times, I might not even be sure why I'm upset at you, but the tone you had with me was what I was bothered by, not what you said. So again, it's about sitting down, let's having a conversation, let's figuring out what was the issue, why did this go wrong, and so
go ahead.
And so a lot of times when you break it down to its simplest form, a lot of times the kids are like, I ain't got no problem. You don't have a problem with this man. It was a miscommunication situation. So again, teaching young men to use their brains and not their hands, use their brains and not their mouth, because a lot of times we speak before we think, and if we do a lot more listening and thinking, we probably can get to more solutions than problems.
So what's the biggest barriers that you see with coaching young men, and they're like with coaching young men and just trying to get them to understand sometimes as a coach you have to be a parent as well?
Yeah, that you can't take them home with you. It would be so much easier if I could take you home with me, and now I'm this consistent 24-hour guidance in your ear, but I can't do that. I have to say what I can, where I can, and then continue to build that relationship during school, outside of school. Something going on at home, you can call me, I'm going to come by, but just showing them as a man, my word is my bond. As a man, my job is to not just look out just for my kid, but any kid that's in my environment.
Yeah. So, okay, you get a chance to speak to a lot of dads out there who, quite frankly, you might be the father figure for their kids, right? And they might be riding around the streets of Chattanooga not realizing how important they are and how you're kind of, at times, kind of cleaning up the mess, trying to help them develop some of these skills. What is it you would tell that dad that has given up on being, the dad to his kid, that's absent, that's whatever? What would you tell them?
That's not an option, man. Giving up is never an option, especially when you're dealing with kids. They need to know that you are resilient. They need to know that you have fight in you. Very similar to what your son said. They need to understand that my dad, regardless of the situation, is going to be there. So I don't find many excuses for men not to be there for their kids.
That's wow.
You notice I said, and I'm learning today, man. And Joe, today we want to say thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Today we want to give you your flowers. Today we want to say thank you for what you've done for our community. Thank you for coming back to our community, because most time when people who come from our similar backgrounds, once we get out of our community, once we get out of that bubble, we try to tell each other, oh, I ain't going back in there.
Most definitely.
Because we know what goes with that. But now we see the difference once we got on the outside. So today we want to say thank you to Joe Banks for coming through for our community in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
You're welcome, my man.
Give us a story, a success story, a kid that you've seen that's turned around, and what changed and how did it happen?
Yeah, I got a kid at Howard. When I first got to Howard, he was having problems, potentially about to join the gang. I had already had a few things on his record. So when I got him, he wasn't a football player at the time. He was more on the edge of game banging. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to him, I just tried to convince him, like, dude, those same skill sets that you take towards game banging, you're a leader, you're tough, you're smart. Other people follow behind you, not because you're saying something, because your actions. You can take those same qualities and put them on the football field, and, hey, we got us a great leader. And so I was able to convince him after a few weeks of just talking to him, like, hey, give it a shot. And he came. He did well. He got an opportunity to go to school. So, again, my thing was just trying to get him to open it up. I have another kid, man, that I work with now, super intelligent, don't have a lot of males around him. And so my thing was challenging him. I challenged him, using the case in point, we doing box jumps. I give him a ball. He said, I can't jump with this ball in my hand. I said, how you know if you ain't never tried it? Bam, he jump up there with the ball. I give him a bigger ball. Why you give me a bigger ball? Why you afraid to jump? So again, as he jumped, you see the smile on his face now. It's starting to change to a huge smile, because now he's convincing himself that he can do stuff that he didn't believe he could do. But without nobody challenging him to say, hey, man, just try to jump. Just try it. He was able to do it, and now his confidence is shooting out the roof. It's not a thing you probably can't get him to do, because now he feel like, if I can't do it, I got a baseline. Mm-hmm. Now I know what I need to improve on. Yeah. And so, but if you never gonna try because you're afraid of failing, we'll never know how far you can go. Mm-hmm. So with my team, I call them the fearless, because my thing is putting those guys in environments where you don't fear failing. And if you don't fear failing, what you got to lose?
That's the message right there. Like the number of dads that we've had that show that there's just you don't need to fear failing. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, and we know it from sports references, like part of the beauty of sports is you will fail. Mm-hmm. If you play baseball, you will strike out. If you play basketball, you will miss a shot. It's just that simple. If you play football, you will miss a tackle, you will drop a ball. Like, you will fail at some point.
What do you do afterwards?
Right.
That's the question.
So this is another thing you get a chance to tell these fathers, like, what would you want more from your community in what you're doing? What kind of action would you need from fathers from your community?
Man, showing people that we out here, man. I tell people all the time, I don't know deadbeat dads. If I did, I don't socialize with them. So, again, every guy that I know is a stand-up dude that's there for their child. If I spend time with you, you taking care of your kid. Mm-hmm. So I would say, man, just show people, man, that we are out here, and we're proud. Yeah, we're proud.
So how do dads help their kids develop emotionally? Like, what role do dads play in that?
Man, a huge part. This is one thing I would say. As a man of 6'5", over 300 pounds, I have to show people that I can be compassionate. I have to show people that I cry with you. I can hug you. I can apologize to you. Because, again, with size, power, position in life, people already assume that you're too big or too powerful to do. No, I need to show you, dude, that as a young man, who cares how big you are? If you do something wrong to somebody, you should apologize, because you want them to apologize to you. But just being completely honest, and if I screw up, I'm going to say, hey, man, I'm sorry. Yeah, you 4'5", and I told you I'm sorry. Yeah, I did that. But because I want this kid to understand, no, you're not powerless. You do have a word. And if someone does something wrong with you, you deserve them to apologize. So my thing is, I intentionally apologize to kids in front of other kids, so that they can understand. It has nothing to do with my size. It has nothing to do with what my profession is. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you sad, I'm gonna say, hey man, you need a hug today? I don't want no hug, boys. We kind of, what you don't be hugging me, man. Listen here, man. Everybody need a hug every once in a while, bro.
I like it.
I don't care if you Mike Tyson.
Love it.
Everybody need a hug every once in a while. So just changing that perspective of how men treat other men. Because I hug you don't mean I'm into you like that. No, that's not the case. I care about you because a man should show healthy love towards everybody. And as young boys, they need to see it more than anything.
I know.
Yeah.
Say a lot, right?
Yeah, man. It's a lot, man. And man, we just gonna get into these questions,
Yeah.
Because you done said everything that we needed to hear.
Yeah, it's real, man.
You said everything we need to hear, bro. These 5 questions we like to ask fathers, man, and it's really simple questions. We're gonna start with this one. To you, what makes dads irreplaceable?
Man, being that protector, being that visionary for your family, being the ship, and so it's irreplaceable, man. Trust me, we love women. Our moms have done great, but it's something about having a man in your life to create that type of balance that I discussed earlier, where kids have options to not just say, I'm going to respond this way. I can now, I want to think. I want to ponder on why I responded this, or why you did this to me, instead of, you did this to me, I'm going to attack. And so just bring that balance to kids, man, boys or girls.
Wow. You got kids?
Yeah.
How many?
Man, I got 380, man. But I got one biological. Man, I got a 15-year-old son. He's a sophomore at Chet Prep, man. One of my football players. I get on him more than I get on anybody.
Of course.
So, yeah.
You talking to Coach Reggie over there? He understands.
Yeah, I get on him. Get on him more than anybody. I tell him, bro, you sleep at home with me. You know the expectation.
Come on.
You know the expectation. So, but he's a great dude, man. I love him to death. Do I be hard on him? Yeah. Do we have tons of fun? Sure. But when it's time to lock in, you got to lock in, brother.
So what's the craziest or the funnest thing y'all have ever done?
Man, we ain't did something. We first off, we have so much fun all the time. It's crazy. Like, because he has a very similar personality to me. I would say craziest thing, we went hiking, and just me and him and my dog, got a bulldog with my other buddy. We went hiking, and we hopped out the car. We was trying to go to Lula Lake, and that didn't work out well. It was locked or something like that, so we couldn't get in. So we just, we want to go on the trail. So we hop out, find a random trail, just bam, we're going to take this trail. We walk 2 or 3 miles, and we get basically back up the mountain. And so now I'm like, all right, do we want to, it seemed like it's a quicker way. We just took the street. We took the street, dude. It was like, we had to walk in like the narrowest spot ever. It's like coming down Lookout Mountain. It was dangerous. It was pretty dangerous. And that's something we always kind of talk about, is like how we risk our lives together. Ooh. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. It was cool, man. That's our last time going hiking.
Right.
I ain't been yet. I'm ready to go.
No, I ain't been
I
back.
want to go, but I want to do it, man.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh, that's a great question. What advice I give my younger self? Trust the process, man. Trust the process. Where you are right now is not where you'll be 5 years from now. Keep grinding, and I would say build the best network you could possibly build as a young man, so that you can lean on that once you get older. And I'm still building networks now, but if I would establish the network, well, the network I established as a young man has helped me so much since I've been back that it's crazy. So I did a pretty solid job then, not knowing that I was establishing a network. It's just about my parents taught me to be consistent, treat people with respect. If I see a woman coming in, I'm going to open the door for her. Just those small things, what you call soft skills. Yeah. Those soft skills can take you a mile up, man. They can take you so far.
Yeah, a long way.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that's the EQ part of life. Like people consistently talk about IQ, but the EQ part is what pushes you up the line. You can be smart as hell, but if you don't know how to treat people, you got a problem.
Wow. So, if you could provide any experience for your teenage son, any experience, what would it be?
Okay. He want to go to this concert called Rolling Loud concert. So he want to go there. He's too young to go.
Right.
So right now, that's what if he was old enough, that's one thing I would like to provide him. But just because I know that's something he want to do, and again, like every person, every parent, you want to give your kid everything you can give them. With me, I talk to him all the time about earning things. It's like, dude, you can ask all you want, but trust me, you get way more in this world when you earn it. If you go out here and put work in, and then people gonna notice the work you put in, now they willing to give you damn near anything.
Right.
But if you sitting around asking, it's like, all right, like that becomes boring. Right. So I want to see you put some work in, man. Let me see the 3.0 go up some more.
Right.
Let me see you make a few more plays out here. So those things, challenging them in those type of ways. Yeah.
How did you get the mentality that you have now?
My daddy, dude. Man, my daddy. Hey, man, my daddy the man, dude. Listen, my daddy has looked out for more people in the city of Chattanooga than I know of any man. And I put that up against the male. Anybody. Like my daddy, man. I don't know, everybody know my daddy always had vans. You know why? To ensure kids can get to where they need to get to.
You right.
Am I lying?
You ain't lying.
My daddy has never. He have a car now. My daddy never had a car. He always had vans because he would pick kids up from Pa's homes. He'd pick you up from Howard. He'd pick you up from Alton Park. He's picking us up from Pioneer Woods. We got football practice. We got a football practice. You got to way home. Oh, you got to come on, get on the van. I'm taking you home. He don't care where you stay at. But it's one of those things. He took ownership of the kids that was around him. And so to me, like, that's my best friend. Me and my daddy talk all the time. Hang out all the time. So everything I'm saying, I ain't gonna say it's copied, but it's it's been planted by my dad, and I just kind of perfected it, hopefully. But no, my dad the dude, man.
Gotcha. So what are you doing in Chattanooga now? Give you a chance to put it out there and let Chattanooga know what Joe Banks doing and what you got going on. Just a little bit about what you got going on.
Man, right now, again, like I said, I'm the dean of students at Chattanooga Preparatory School. It's an all-boys school. And we have our highest grade is 10th grade. This year I'm the head football coach as well. My middle school won the 3A championship. We accumulated 142 points. We only allowed 6 points the whole season. My high school was the youngest high school football team in the nation, arguably. We got our first 16-year-old kid in November. So we was freshmen and sophomores, played a varsity schedule. Again, you want to create kids who's not afraid to lose. If you're not afraid to lose, guess what? Winning on the other side of that.
Yep.
So again, my thing is just building these young men up strong now so that later on we can have these conversations with them and say, hey, man, what happened here? Hopefully they mention my name. They don't. Cool. I'm okay. As long as you're productive, that's all I care about. So doing that, so that's my thing right now, just focusing on building that school in the right direction and building that football team in the right direction.
Got you. Any business ventures you got doing now, man? You stayed to the business world.
Plug
it in.
Yeah, so me and my wife had a restaurant, Little Mama Chicago style.
Better know it.
Yeah, we sold it, so we don't own it anymore. Okay. But it was one of those things. It was such a cool thing we wanted to do. It was just one of those things. It was like, hey, let's take this project and let's run. Let's see how we can do it. We did it well. I had a transportation company,
right?
Big Daddy's Transportation. So you had Little Mamas, but it came from Big Daddy's Transportation. So So I just have a few things, man. I tell kids all the time, but people in general, like you have skill sets that you don't even look at as a skill set. You think, hey, I'll drive. Everybody can drive. Yeah, you're right. Well, how can you sell the way you drive? And you cut hair, how do you say it the way you cut hair? Everybody cut hair. So my thing is, again, selling your skill sets and understanding that everything can be a skill set depending on how you value yourself and depending on how you look at yourself. So
just dropping knowledge,
Man.
bombs, truth bombs.
I see a part two in your world
your
one day,
future,
man,
right.
in your future.
Hey, I hope so, man.
Oh no, we gonna definitely do that, bro.
Yeah, I hope so.
We're gonna definitely do that, man.
But close us on out, man.
We want to say thank you to Joe Banks, man, for coming through and sharing this knowledge with dads, making a difference, and just success from what you're doing for these kids in this world, and coming from where we come from is very big, man. And so we want to say kudos to you and keep pushing, bro.
Yeah, most definitely.
And if you need dads making a difference, just tap in with us and we're gonna go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all for coming out.
You've been listening to Dads Making a Difference, powered by First Things First. Join us for our next episode right here.